Welcome to the Story of Money by Ash Stewart. Episode 016, The Core Concept of Investment, a concept that means a lot more than we concede. Thank you for holding on for a whole week from the end of reading the last episode on delayed gratification. So, you have my undiluted gratitude. In line with my promise to you when I ended that piece, let's take that concept to its logical next step. The word investment conjures up some rather advanced images of complex mathematics, overbearing financial advisors, and glassy-facade banking institutions. The core of it is much simpler and more relatable than all that fancy stuff. Let's also clear out the notion that investment equals saving. It's certainly not as passive as that. Investment is essentially the process of marshaling the other elements of economics we discussed in previous episodes. Capital, the time value of money, opportunity cost, and especially risk, and putting them to use, implementing, or as I previously said, crystallizing delayed gratification. Let's see how all this adds up. The vestment of progress. Let's start with capital, episode 005, where I insisted that capital is not the same as money. And indeed, in the episode on money, episode 001, that money itself has no intrinsic value. Capital is anything, any resource, including human skills, that we put to productive use. In other words, investment is capital put to work. And the time value of money, episode 007, comes into the picture because, well, any investment takes time to bear fruit, and we have to be confident that it's worth that time we waited for it. Which then brings us to opportunity cost, episode 009. For every investment involves decisions made, and for the investment to be viable, we have to assess each decision against the alternatives. And despite all that, the investment may not pay off. If you join the financial advice industry, for the first 3 months of your financial advisor internship, you're supposed to chant every single day, all day, past performance is not indicative of future result. Well, okay, it's not quite that, but that's the one they are trained to mention in every single communication with you, without fail. I suspect still that financial advice professionals won't say that about themselves in an interview or a first date. To get back on track, my point is of course about risk. Risk is perhaps the most important concept and component surrounding the whole story of investment. In fact, it goes both ways. The entire industry of investment banking can be said to be built on the core need to manage risk. But more on that angle another time. Divested interests. So let's see where we would be without the idea of investment, without the activity of investing, and the connection to the previous episode. Let's start perhaps with the more obvious ones that are perhaps more conspicuous in our life, ones we more easily recognize as investments. Those roads, bridges, skyscrapers would never get built. Manhattan would just be a very expensive swamp, an improvement, some would argue. No skilled professionals, for without the investment of one's childhood and education and training, no skilled work would be possible. Your surgeon would essentially be a very confident guesser with a sharp stick. No better tools or techniques. By extension, we wouldn't have dedicated disciplines such as science and technology. We'd have to carve our angry tweets on stone. So yes, no cars, no homes to be owned after 30 years. Silver lining? No worries about mortgage payments either. Going back to the very basics, last time I touched upon the idea of planting seeds in the ground and tending to them in the expectation of harvesting a crop a few months down the line. Investment, thus, is at the very heart of human endeavor aimed. It's the sacrifice. It's the effort. It's the risk. It's the decisions, such that one day in the future, they may all bear fruit.